All right, we are now 3 minutes past noon, but let me do this. Very good. We'll let Bernadette in. And we will begin today's meeting. It is January 19th, 2021. And let's ring the bell. All right. Mr. Garcia, would you like to lead our invocation here?
Absolutely. Thank you for the honor. Let us bow our heads, those that are so inclined. Dear God, we have come to one more Tuesday. As we begin our Rotary meeting, we look back at the events that have happened in our recent past. And many are concerned of the difficulties that have presented themselves. And knowing that tomorrow there will be a new administration, a new president in this country, we ask that you give him and his vice president wisdom to be able to deal with the complexities of this country. We also want to put in your hands today those among our family that are facing health challenges. Please be with them, comfort them. But most of all, we ask you to heal them, that we bring together a united voice in thoughts and in prayer, asking for healing. Thank you for giving us this wonderful community, a community of service, a community of love, a community of unity called Rotarians. What a family and what a privilege to be part of it. Bless our leaders always. We ask in your name. Amen.
Very poignant. Thank you very much. And Mr. Justin Timberlake, would you please lead us? Oh, I'm sorry, Justin Gray, not Justin Timberlake. Sorry. Would you lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance?
It's a common between Timberlake and Bieber. It's really a common mistake, but so I'll forgive you. So good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. Please join me for the pledge. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Well done. I can tell you practiced that. All right. Today's patriotic song. Oh, shh. Play ball. Come on. Come on. There we are. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Escondido Rotary Club meeting. We do have our speaker today joining us, Nicole Estrada, and I have to say, she was the only one who stood for the patriotic song. And I mean, that's the kind of patriotism you just can't buy.
That's right. The whole time too.
The whole time. We have our guests, our former members, Frank and Gloria Tecca, joining us today. Hello, hello. And we do have a visiting Rotarian, Dave Jones. Say hello. Dave.
Hello.
There you are. Dave, you want to tell us about your event real quick, or do you want to wait till the announcements portion?
I could wait till the announcements would be fine.
All right. So welcome to all our guests and visiting Rotarians. Here's a special, special song just for you.
Howdy, we're glad to have you here. Welcome, we sing it loud and clear. Relax, enjoy the program, and won't you come back to see us again?
And other than Frank and Gloria, our guests may not know that we have a member not joining us on Zoom just because of that song. So that's how special you are, that we continue playing that song and we don't have Dick Daniels joining us. So upcoming calendar next week, we have Household Guardians talking about preparing or making a home for your to safer as you grow older. On the 2nd of February, we have our own resident artiste talking about desert wildlife photography. On the 3rd is Haven House. Give Kelly an email or call if you want to join one of those dates on the 3rd, the 17th, or the 3rd. It's one of the fun things about March and February. The 9th, we have Cardiac Devices. On the 16th, our own Myrna North will be talking to us about George Washington and the Revolutionary War. 23rd, our own Krishna Kabra will be talking to us about Children's Discovery Museum. Then the San Diego County Medical Society. Then Mike Strong on March 9th talking about the Valley Specific Plan. If that's for me, I'm not here. And then on the 16th, we have Functional Medicine Specialties.
And I'm up next.
Great programs coming up. Oh, I better let in Chip there. All right. Do we have any member moments?
It was muted. Can I call you back at 1?
Okay. Not hearing any. We'll just welcome Chip in for joining us. That's a pretty good member moment. Christine, I think, is on the phone.
Turn it off a little bit.
I may have to do some of these in the wilds. Oh,
Hi. Yes, I'm here. Sorry, President Andrew. I had my mom on the other line, and
I'm more than happy to let you talk to her. Moms are important.
well, her comment is, "Oh, your Rotary, club is more important than talking to me." And I told her, "Well, yeah, I'll call you at 1." Anyway, yes, we have a few Rotarians in the wild. Dara's here today, but she's been posting some wonderful things about her trip to Arizona, including making a new friend who crossed her path.
And honestly, I thought that was Rich when I first saw that photo, but
Oh,
The Democrat.
so at least one of us is out. With the coronavirus, there are fewer and fewer postings of Rotarians being out and out in the wild or in the not so wild. But Wendy Schaefer, like Michelle Sullivan, got new electric bikes this year. And so she and Ben went all over town this afternoon and found some new trails. So we are out in the wild. Paulette. This was, I guess, her swearing in ceremony for the San Diego County Office of Education, Board of Education. It's a real sweet picture of her, and congratulations. Who is that darling child? Well, it's my granddaughter, Haley, who goes to Palisade. And They're on,
Nepotism.
they're on Zoom still. They were back in the classroom when this was taken. But the second grade explorers at Del Sur Elementary decided to do care packages for Veterans Village, which serves homeless veterans in the San Diego area. So this class of 6 and 7-year-olds made these, had masks, had gloves, and made some little happy holiday packets with new socks and sanitizer and gloves and treats. And so I thought that was pretty darn sweet that we have 7-year-olds that are doing service in the community too.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that might be the last. You have to start them
I
early.
think that is the last one.
Right.
So here's an interesting thing that came across from district. It is, sorry, Nicole, on this. It is almost Girl Scout cookie time. And the district has offered someone to join our meetings to talk about how cookie sales can, basically finding cookie sales and working with the Girl Scouts. But I kind of looked at that and said, not that we have any here today that I can see, but we have members whose kids probably are in the Girl Scouts, or maybe grandkids are in the Girl Scouts. I would really much rather have one of our own talk to us about what the Girl Scout cookie sales are about and what it means from a service perspective. So if there's any members, or if you know of any of our members who have kids in the Girl Scouts that are going to be selling cookies, let them know. I'd love to give them a minute or two, to talk about what the Girl Scout cookie sales actually do for Girl Scouts. And Dave,
Colleen,
actually, I'm sorry.
I'm just going to say Colleen's daughter is in Girl Scouts but she's not here today. So.
Well, no, I didn't mean today. I meant in a maybe meeting or two coming up. Dave Jones, let's hear about Toastmasters.
Hey, great. Thanks, Andrew. So most of you, or some of you, might be wondering if I'm having another whiskey tasting, which is usually when I come to speak to you guys about my whiskey tasting event. I see Keith here, who attended our last virtual tasting and survived it. That's great. But I'm president-elect of the Escondido After 5 Club. And in going through my president-elect training, I noticed that the Toastmasters have part of your required training to become president is a curriculum that's put on by Toastmasters and curated by Toastmasters. And I happen to be a member, actually president of the Escondido Downtown Toastmasters group. We meet about 50 yards from where right now we meet in the same spot you guys do, which is on Zoom. But normally we meet about 50 yards from where you guys meet in the Mitchell Room at the city of Escondido. So I wanted to invite you to our one of our virtual meetings. We meet every Thursday from 12:05 to 1:10. And I'll post my email and chat. You can either chat and tell me you're interested, or you can, I'll send you an email. I'll give you my email. But the Toastmasters and Escondido actually have a lot in common. In 1905, when Paul Harris was having his first Rotary meeting, Ralph Smedley was having his first Toastmaster meeting about 100 miles away at a YMCA. And his goal was to create a curriculum that helped people learn to speak, learn to lead meetings, learn to be part of committees, and basically help them with their leadership. And that's what Toastmasters is about. Very inexpensive. The dues are less than a Sunday paper every week. And again, once we get back to meeting locally, as I say, we're right across the parking lot there at the city. And so I do invite you to attend one of our meetings. They're fun, informative. I learn something every week. And if nothing else, it'll help your Zoom skills for right now. And
Ouch.
not that, Andrew, you don't need any, although.
I feel like that was a personal attack, but I'm used.
Although Nicole, I would have stood up for the for the national anthem if I had remembered to wear pants to this meeting. So one other thing, since you guys are a member of the Escondido Chamber, the fourth Friday of every month is Wake Up Escondido. I'll be speaking on goal setting and planning this week, Friday morning at 8 o'clock. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining us today, Dave. And I'm going to actually send you an email to our communications director, and maybe we can get this into our center view as well. All right. Back to the cookies. You can tell I'm obsessed. Come on. There we go. And now, Nicole, this is the best part of the day for you.
Okay. I'm excited.
You get to be serenaded just because you're you. We are known as
Wow.
the singing club, but we've had to make some concessions to Zoom because of lag. So fortunately, we have some very technically savvy people. And this week, it is Nickelback Sulis. That's spend $1, get a nickel back.
Oh.
And
Hiking and swimming and anything outdoors. Travel to Fiji and China, she'd like more. Good food in packages tied up with bows. These are the things that make Nicole glow. She loves to play golf and golf miniature. With health-giving food, she's a true epicure. Fresh food with brilliant presentation are reasons for great celebration. Tempeh and fresh beans with minimal soy. Veggie source protein, oh boy, they bring joy. Gluten's discouraged, but dairy-free cheese. It's all good for those allergies. When you're hungry, when you're busy, if you're feeling sad, just remember fresh creations and then you will feel so glad. All things organic and edible flowers make me feel that I have superpowers. Everything sugar and GMO free, even hummus from organic chickpeas. Certified in integrative nutrition, you'd think her food had seen a beautician. Food should look good and taste great as well. She helps the health of her wise clientele. No processed food but veggie proteins with noodles, fresh fruit desserts, organic apple strudels. These are the things that will melt in your mouth. These are the foods we should not do without. When you're hungry, when you're busy, if you're feeling sad. Great meals from fresh creations help make all meals celebrations. When you're hungry, when you're busy, if you're feeling sad, just remember fresh creations. But for now, let's listen to Nicole's presentation.
Amazing.
Great job,
Nice.
Nick.
nice, Nick. That was really, honestly, I love that.
Excellent.
Wow. I'm speechless.
Well, there you go. That's the way we plan to leave you.
Yeah.
Dara, would you like to introduce our program for the day?
I would love to. Nicole Estrada is a corporate professional turned chef. For years, she showed her love for others through food. In 2017, she took a leap of faith and resigned from her corporate job of 14 years and enrolled in culinary school. A year and a half later, she opened Fresh Creations, a personal chef and catering service company based in beautiful San Diego, California. Nicole focuses on creating health-conscious, plant-based food with quality and flavor at the forefront of every meal. She strives to use wholesome, organic, fresh, and locally sourced seasonal ingredients. Nicole is also a neighbor and is married and has some children. Welcome,
I do.
Nicole.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for having me here today. I am so honored to be presenting in front of all of you and sharing one of my most favorite topics and the most thing that I'm passionate about, which is food. So Dara is absolutely right. In 2017, I resigned from SDG&E, and unfortunately, it took my mom battling with 4 cancers in 5 years and her passing away for me to realize that it was time to follow my dreams of becoming a plant-based chef. So I went to the San Diego Culinary Institute, and that actually trained me to be a fine dining chef, which was the complete opposite of what I actually wanted. But I needed the fundamentals because coming from SDG&E and going into the culinary world, they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum, right? So for me, I needed the basic fundamentals. I learned everything from what herbs and spices pair well with food to really great knife skills and plating food. And then from there, I decided, okay, I want to train under plant-based chefs. I want to learn about integrative nutrition. So I enrolled in UCSC Extension and have been taking several courses there. So in all, I feel like now I've been in the industry for about 3.5 years, and I would typically host one of these out of my commercial kitchen. But truthfully, I was there over the past 3 days about 39 hours, and I think my family has really been missing me. So it's time I come home and welcome you to my kitchen. Today, we're going to talk about the standard American diet, how it's actually really sad, and we're going to talk about chronic disease prevention, how it ties into the standard American diet, and then I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes that's super versatile, has 5 ingredients, so there's nothing fancy to it. It can actually be done within about 5 minutes, and it's a delicious chia seed pudding. So we'll have different chia seed pudding recipes. I will gladly share the recipe with all of you so you can take it, make it for yourselves, your significant others, your grandkids, because again, it's super versatile. So you can have anything from a vanilla chia pudding to peanut butter and jelly, and then of course for my chocolate lovers. So we'll get to that towards the end. But for now, I wanted to just open up with kind of going back about 30 years or so. My mom was the very first woman secretary-treasurer of the Machinists Union, and that often meant that she worked long hours. And knowing now how hard it is to work long hours and have 2 kids, I realized for her it was a struggle to put a healthy, well-balanced meal in front of us every day, whether it be for lunch or dinner. We've oftentimes, when she picked us up, we would head over to one of our favorite restaurants where the wait staff knew us and we felt so special going in, and everyone would say, the twins are here, since I'm an identical twin. And we would sit down, try their restaurant or at our home after visiting our favorite convenient fast food restaurant. And we would consume high caloric meals that were extremely processed, high in sugar, high in sodium, very refined carbohydrates, and they really lacked most of the time vegetables and fruits completely. But little did my mom know at that time how that was really going to be detrimental to our health. She was just doing her best. She put food in front of us, we were able to eat, and it was spending that time together. Fast forward about 10 years and we were graduating from high school. My sister and I had horrible digestive issues. We suffered from really bad acne. Overall, we played a few sports in high school, but we really lived a sedentary lifestyle. We were your typical standard American diet consumers. And we had no idea that years later, my mom would suffer the most as she was diagnosed with her first cancer. So when I talk about the standard American diet, what's shocking is there was a 2010 report that stated from the National Cancer Society that found 3/4 of all Americans don't eat a single piece of fruit each day. And most of the time, 9 out of 10 Americans don't even eat the minimum intake of vegetables. And we're talking 2 to 3 cups of vegetables a day, not even coming anywhere close to that. So when I started doing all this research to kind of find out why I wasn't feeling good and coming across various articles and just knowledge about what happens when you're consuming foods that really your body's not meant to process, typically your body doesn't start functioning as well. What I mean by that is there are certain chronic diseases, such as heart disease and cancer, that are directly related to what we eat and the lifestyles that we live. So when we talk about chronic disease prevention, we can actually take four key steps to increase our lifestyle factors of healthy eating, exercise, not smoking, and not becoming obese. So most of the time when you're consuming things that are considered your typical standard American diet, your highly processed foods, your fast food, and so forth, and you're not getting those fruits and vegetables and whole grains in, it really can start to lead to these various diseases. So when my mom was first diagnosed with uterine cancer, her doctor sat us down and told us her diet was a huge factor in what she was now suffering from. And she would really need to change it in order to reverse the condition and even just to expand her lifespan a little bit. She couldn't no longer eat. And when I talk about my mom's dietary habits, she loved her sweets. So she loved all, like, talking about big bowls of chocolate ice cream and, again, very little vegetables and fruits. So I started to really help her and start looking at various recipes to enhance her meals, because I loved her traditional home style cooking, and it's what we grew up on. I knew that there wasn't a way to shift her thinking overnight. So I started creating things like Alfredo, but with, instead of your typical traditional cheese sauce, I would incorporate things like cauliflower, steamed cauliflower that I would puree into cashews to make a really creamy sauce. And so taking her favorite recipes and combining these ingredients, she was able to actually live the next 5 years with a lot more energy, which she would soon need because of the fact that she was going to be suffering from so many other cancers. She was a lifelong smoker, so she did end up having lung cancer. She had liver cancer, she had breast cancer. So all of these things were these diseases where her doctors really only gave her 6 months to a year. Fortunately, she was able to live that 5 years, and we were able to spend that time together. And she really helped me create these delicious recipes that I share with a lot of my clients now. For instance, chocolate mousse. She loved her chocolate mousse. Well, if we use dark chocolate that's extremely good for you in moderation, and combine it with avocado and canned coconut milk, you have and use maple syrup, you have a really delicious, wholesome recipe that isn't filled with extremely high amounts of sugar that are going to spike your glucose levels. So I've just been able to kind of take everything that I learned and incorporate it into my weekly meal delivery service. And that's where the song was amazing. Presentation, all these different components are really big, because anytime I tell someone that I'm a vegan chef, they automatically kind of like shy away, or there's a lot of stereotypes associated to it. So they're not very interested until I can give them a sample of what I'm preparing. So within the last few years, I've taken that a little bit further and incorporated using food as medicine into my ingredients. So for instance, today I'm going to jump into our recipe in a minute here, but I try to really incorporate whole food ingredients into our recipes. There's actually 5 pillars of a healthy diet, and whole food, plant-based, balanced and diverse, locally grown, and organic are really 5 pillars that I try to live by that really help my clients. And in turn, if we're purchasing local organic produce, I get it directly from farmers. So we're helping local Escondido farms as well. One of my favorite farms is JR Organics. You can see them at the farmers markets. You can see that a lot of their produce is available at Jimbo's. They are a family-owned and operated farm, which is really important to me because I know how hard they work. And so we are incorporating a lot of their seasonal ingredients into our meals. Using fresh produce is very important. The longer that produce sits on your shelf, the less nutrient dense it is. If we're getting our produce from Mexico, from wherever, by the time that it transports all the way over here, your produce, one, of course, isn't as fresh unless it's been sprayed with some sort of pesticide. But again, it starts to lose its nutrient value over time. So for me, getting high amounts of nutrients into our clients' meals is one of the most important things that I like to focus on, other than the flavor, of course. So well-balanced diet typically consists of about 30 to 35% of whole grains, 30 to 35% of vegetables as well, and about 5% of between 5 to 10% fruit and nuts, and beans and legumes. That's another huge part of it, 5 to 10%. So it's always about finding a balance, because a lot of the times that we are consuming food that isn't nutrient dense, these excessive caloric meals and meals that are high in saturated fats, your body isn't able to function properly. So I want to keep saying that because it's really important. When you start eating a more clean, well-balanced diet, your energy levels skyrocket. Of course, we have the occasional wine and whiskey or beer because you still have to live. But I try to live by like an 80-20% rule, where 80% of the time we're living by the 5 pillars of the healthy diet. And then 20% of the time, my kids are indulging, we're indulging, because you only live once. So I also don't want them to be the kids that are teased at school for eating so clean and healthy and get picked on. So there's always a fine balance. But what I would like to share now is our chia seed pudding recipe. So again, I will gladly share this. I'll send it out, as well as 3 other really great nutrient dense recipes that help with stress, help eliminate stress, and help you actually boost your nutrients by the amount of vegetables that are in them. But the fun thing is they're all hidden veggies. So if you have grandkids that are picky eaters, or your kids, things like the chocolate mousse pudding or our cauliflower Alfredo will be included. So that way it's really fun, and it's kind of been one of my fun things now. It's like when friends come over or family, that I can trick them in these fun recipes. So this is chia seed pudding. I buy the big bag at Costco. This is a really incredible brand. Chia seeds are really great because they're a super great source of fiber and omegas. A lot of the times we are consuming foods that have no fiber in them, which is why a lot of people are suffering from digestive issues. So again, this is going to be 5 quick ingredients. We're going to use our chia seeds, 1 cup of regular milk, dairy-free preferred. I love oat milk. And then you want to use 1 can of coconut milk. I like the full fat. It gives it that really creamy flavor. I mean, again, this is a pudding, so you want like that really yummy, flavorful creaminess. And we're going to use a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. So if you're really watching your sugar intake, this serves about 3 to 4 servings. If you're watching your sugar intake, I highly recommend switching from any refined sugar to maple syrup, dates. These are all going to really reduce the amount of your blood levels spiking, because a lot of the times with refined sugar, there's so much sugar that your blood levels just spike so much. And especially with kids, I just want to avoid that as much as possible. So anytime you can use a natural source of sugar, I highly recommend it. We don't even have regular refined sugar in the house. Another alternative would be coconut sugar. Again, it's much better on your glycemic index, really great for diabetics. And again, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup that we're combining with the 1 cup of oat milk or preferred milk of choice with 1 can of full fat coconut milk. And you can also, if you want to rather use something like monk fruit or maybe something like a stevia, you can absolutely use that as well. Monk fruit is really great right now. The keto is huge for people. I know everyone's on this keto kick still. So monk fruit is just another sweetener that's a great alternative to traditional refined sugar. Then you're just gonna whisk these together with 1 tablespoon of vanilla. So I love vanilla extract, vanilla beans, whatever you prefer. Again, this is supposed to be a quick recipe, so you don't really want to, you can start adding additional ingredients, but it kind of takes away from the flavor. So if you want 1 tablespoon of vanilla, if you want to just keep it quick and easy, I would just stick with this. And then once you start getting the hang of it a little bit more, you can see the consistency. It does require refrigeration overnight. Then you can kind of start playing around with it. I love adding granola to it. I love adding cacao. Cacao is a great, it's raw chocolate, so you're getting more antioxidants instead of chocolate that has been highly refined and has no nutritional value. So I would just make this recipe as is 1 or 2 times, and then again, you can start adding whatever you'd like to it. These are chia seeds for those of you that are not familiar with them. You can see they're little black seeds. Same thing as the old commercials, the cha-cha-cha-chia, and you can grow those animals or whatever it used to be on the commercials. Again, I get this from Costco, and what's great about chia, it's great for reducing heart disease. It helps fight depression, anxiety. So I throw these in my kids' almond butter jelly sandwiches on top of yogurt. It's great for brain development as well. So again, anytime kids are involved, getting them kind of hide it because they are a little crunchy and it's almost a different texture, like a tapioca pudding, where some people just don't love that texture. So I try to hide it. My kids are 3 and 5, so they are definitely going through that picky period. So what I love about this recipe, again, is how quick it comes together. That's it. You whisk it and you're going to put it in the fridge overnight. You don't even have to think about it. What's important about using food as medicine is having recipes that are quick and easy, because a lot of the times food is a really big stressor for people. They're wondering, especially now, going to the grocery store has been a huge stressor because of COVID. So trying to do something like this where you can meal plan for the week, and this will be one of your desserts or even a breakfast. This is enough again for 4 days because it's 1 serving a day. So you already have breakfast taken care of. Trying to eliminate these added stresses is really important right now. So meal planning is huge. You're going to be able to go to the grocery store 1 time per week, make a list of recipes, maybe 4 to 6 recipes that you're going to be able to use throughout the week, and really eliminate the added stress of what to have to cook for lunch or dinner. My favorite, I have chia all over me. My favorite thing about this season right now that we're in is it's soup season. It's casserole season. So incorporating fresh produce from the local farm into recipes. I will give you 2 recipes, my favorite soup and casserole in the recipe packet that I'll send over. It's just really going to enhance how you're feeling, because in the summertime, when we're talking about, like a balanced and diverse menu, this isn't really the time for raw food or really cold food, because our bodies aren't craving that. So it's really important from your own body to kind of listen to what it's craving and these soups and the casseroles and this warm, comforting food, because it actually really helps internally your mood and your brain. They're all connected, right? So we want to make sure that we're feeling good about what we're eating. So this, again, this goes straight in the fridge. And then you're going to get, you can see the consistency and the texture of the pudding. Again, it's just like a tapioca. Put these here. This is an almond butter and jelly. Kind of hard to show, but I want to show you the texture of the pudding itself. So you can kind of see like how it's really thick. Again, the almond butter is in here and it's more thick, but people really like it more on that thick side than kind of runny. But if you want, you can even add in some oatmeal to it. So it's going to be a really fulfilling meal and gives you energy throughout the day. So it's really great if you are an avid runner or swimmer, whatever exercise that you're into. Chia seeds are such a great important source of energy. So we try to really eat to provide our bodies with the energy that it's going to need to sustain throughout the day. So these are 3 chia puddings. And I just want to conclude with really great quote from regarding the standard American diet, because again, a lot of what we're consuming is not nutritionally balanced. And I wanted to share that 63% of America's calories come from refined and processed foods. So we're talking of 63% comes from soft drinks, potato chips, which is huge. And 25% of America's calories come from packaged desserts, Oreos, all those really quick and easy, like granola bars. Just make sure that when you're shopping, you're able to understand what the ingredient label says, because a lot of the times the food that we're purchasing that's prepackaged and processed has so many ingredients. It may be what you think is a simple granola bar, but there's 30 ingredients that make up that granola bar. And the chemicals, the chemical additives that are in them are really what are going to lead to chronic disease. 12% of our calories come from plant-based foods. So we would think from a plant-based chef perspective, that's phenomenal. But unfortunately, 6% of those 12% come from French fries. So it's not even a nutritionally balanced plant-based meal. It's 6% from French fries, which we all know are mostly fried and not very good for you. And then lastly, I do want to just thank all of you. Really, again, understand not only the ingredients that are in your food, but everyone's bodies are so different. So what works for me, may not work for my husband, but it's kind of finding that common ground and just enjoying time in the kitchen and really getting back to actually cooking meals together versus relying on, the convenience of fast food, because our world is so busy right now and so crazy. COVID has just added an entirely different layer of complexity and stress, but kind of taking it back to the roots, getting your fruit and vegetables straight from the farm, supporting our local farmers, and spending time with your kids in the kitchen or your grandkids will really help just overall with your lifestyle.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And, if there's any leftovers there, we might just.
There'll be plenty of leftovers. Who can I give them to? Good. Do you deliver, or do I have to do a drive-by? I make deliveries throughout the county. Yesterday we were in Alpine, so.
So what is your typical client like? Did they start out vegan, or do they convert to veganism, or?
No, I would say about 95% of my clients are not vegan. Most of them purchase our meals or enjoy our recipes, and will add maybe a piece of animal protein to it. A lot of the times people are very impressed with how we are using vegetables, because they're tired of the same old potatoes for dinner or green beans. And so it's kind of getting people excited about eating their fruits and vegetables again. And so that's what we see a lot of, is just families that are struggling to put these healthy meals on the table for themselves and their kids. who kind of look to us to do that since we do deliver. And then again, they'll add their piece of salmon, or sometimes they won't add anything. They just like it as it is. And they know that for 4 days of the week, they're eating a really nutrient plant-based diet, but then maybe 2 or 3 days a week, they're a little bit more lenient.
Perfect. And then Asi wants to know, how do we get the recipe? I assume you're going to send that by email to me and I can post it with the video, or we can put it out there?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my recipe packet will be for 5 recipes. It's going to come with the chia seed pudding, as well as a couple soups, casseroles, and then my favorite dessert, which is the avocado chocolate mousse. It'd be great for Valentine's Day too.
Valentine's Day? Oh my God.
Coming up. So we're going to start planning now.
Let's see, another question. Is it more expensive to eat vegan whole food than processed food?
Absolutely. It's definitely more expensive. I always, in the beginning, I thought, oh, it's not. But a lot of the times on a vegan diet, well, you can drive through your local drive-through and maybe get a burger for $3. But with a plant-based diet, a lot of times we're relying on nuts and seeds that we make into cheese sauces. Things like that can add up quickly. Nuts are pretty pricey, but then it all balances out because you can also eat beans, and beans and legumes are very affordable as well. I think truthfully what is a little bit more expensive is organic produce, especially when you're buying it straight from the farm. One, you're paying a little bit more. It's better quality, it's more nutrient dense, versus something that's being mass produced somewhere, that is being shipped in. So it is a little bit more expensive. I think there are ways that you can modify. Maybe 1 week you're using a little bit more nuts and seeds to make something, versus the next week you're using more beans and legumes, and to kind of balance it out a little bit.
Very nice. And Alex just asked, what is the thickening agent? And because for me, sugar is what thickens me a lot, makes me wider and wider and thicker. But I don't think that's what Alex is asking about.
So the thickening agent in here is the coconut milk, because when it does solidify, it does get, or when it gets cold, it solidifies. And so that's how you're able to get this, like, that texture. Same with coconut oil. A lot of baking, vegan baking uses coconut oil. So again, when that solidifies, it's like a great butter and so forth.
Outstanding. Does anyone else want to ask a question directly instead of sending me a chat message?
Yeah, hi Andrew.
This is for you.
Hi, Andrew. Yeah, Roy. This is Roy. Hey Nicole. I enjoyed your presentation. My question is, I've done some reading that the best diet for adults may be different than the best diet for kids growing up. I know it's indisputable that since World War II, the generations born since then have grown, taller and stronger, and they think most of that is due to better nutrition growing up. When I grew up, we had a lot of bacon and eggs for breakfast and steak barbecues, and is that good for kids? But then when what might be good for somebody 10 or 15 may not be good for somebody 40 or 50. Do you have views on that?
Absolutely. So for me, because again, my family, I live more of a vegan lifestyle than my kids. I truthfully think that anytime someone is, whether you're a kid or an adult, you really should pay attention if you're going to consume animal products, which my kids do. Where are your animal-based products coming from? Which farm are you buying your animal protein from? So again, maybe more meat as a child might be okay because they're very active. As an adult, consuming more meat or animal products in general, such as dairy, can really slow down the aging process. It can lead an increase of heart disease. And so I think it's really important from a young age to really at least providing them, their little bodies, without sugar. It's very important because, again, sugar will directly impact brain development. But just knowing kind of where and what you're feeding them, so that way when we do get to this age, they're living a less chronic disease lifestyle, because now we're playing catch up from all the years, maybe in our teens, where you kind of more free roaming, you finally have your freedom, your parents aren't around in your late teens, so you're eating more junk food. I think we all go through different processes in life. Then maybe in your 20s, you're kind of starting to get more active, you are paying more attention to what you're eating, so you're getting a little bit more healthy, nutritious meals. 30s, you have a family, it's busy, you're relying on that fast food again. So I feel like throughout our lifestyle, we go through these different phases. So hopefully that kind of answers your questions. But I definitely feel that as adults, 40 and plus especially, consuming more of that whole food, plant-based diet is really important.
Another question that just came up in the chat from Irv. Do chia seeds dissolve, or is he eating pudding with seeds in it?
You're eating pudding with seeds, but they do soften. So it's almost like a tapioca. The tapioca is a little bit softer, but you will see, I made these yesterday. So you will see the chia seeds are still there. However, if you're blending them in your smoothie, then they'll dissolve. Especially if you have a high-powered smoothie like a Vitamix or a Ninja or something like that, I highly recommend adding a tablespoon or two in the morning or whenever you consume your smoothies. But again, they will, if you add them on as a topping to a yogurt, they will have that little grainy texture. You get used to it.
Yeah. Excellent. Anyone else have any other questions?
I had a question.
Yes, Dara, go ahead.
I know that you talked about maple syrup as a sweetener. How about honey? Is one better than the other?
No, I think honey is a great alternative as well. We don't use honey for our clients because it's not vegan, but honey is a great alternative as well. Absolutely. Anything that's just lower on your glycemic index, because refined sugar just spikes it so much that's why you literally get a sugar rush. But these, especially when combined, maple syrup, honey, combined with maybe a protein that can just kind of neutralize it, will really be good over time. I mean, that's kind of why we end up getting diabetes, is from the high amounts of sugar. And there's a lot of hidden sugars too. So when I said to look at the ingredient labels, I mean, like how much sugar is actually in like the cereal that maybe your grandkids or your kids are consuming. Usually like 9 to 12 grams. Really, you probably shouldn't have more than 20 grams per day, and you're already eating half of that with just breakfast.
What about
hang on one second, Vaughn, real quick. I wanted to tag on to that question too, and I may have missed it. The agave, I've heard lots of bad things that the agave is being treated like a low glycemic, but it tends to also cause massive spikes. Yes,
you're absolutely correct with agave. Once in a while, we'll use agave for our margaritas when we're having our little splurge night. But agave is being compared to being processed like high fructose corn syrup, which has many studies have proven can be cancerous or carcinogenic. So I highly recommend just staying away from agave.
Yvonne, go ahead.
So I was raised with a chemist partner, and he talked about Splenda. And he said, all Splenda is a modified sugar molecule that makes it inactive. Why is there so much resistance against Splenda?
There a lot of the sugars that are like a Splenda or that's the one in the pink pack, NutraSweet, I think is it. A lot of them, because they are modified. So there's a lot of controversy around GMOs, right? And so a lot of the times, anything when it's being genetically modified like that into that type of sugar can be carcinogenic. And so I think that's probably why a lot of the time, like the Splendas and the NutraSweets and so forth, are getting that bad rap, is because they are pretty much genetically modified. It's just not natural to consume versus like a honey or a maple syrup that are actually in its natural state. That are better for your bodies to process.
All right, it is time for me to close the meeting. We have 2 more comments. Nick, can we come back to your comment after I close the meeting out officially?
Of course.
Okay,
sure.
It won't take that long. And Greg, I promise I'm going to make your comment. I'll bring up your comment as well. And then Nicole, we won't keep you super long, but we do just,
no,
it's this whole official closing the meeting at the right time or else I get fired from my job.
We don't want that.
I do. I keep trying to get fired. They say you're a volunteer. You anyhow. So we will close out this week officially. Come on, advance the slide. Not really a shower thought, but in honor of yesterday's, well, actually Sunday's birthday of Martin Luther King, a very Rotarian comment. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And with that, we will close the meeting. And I will, I want to pass on Greg Angel's comment, and then Nick, you can go. Greg says, hello, Nicole, and hello, fellow Rotarians. I just want to put in a good word for Nicole's company. Our family orders healthy meals every week from Fresh Creations and love them.
Oh,
Eating it for dinner tonight.
and I didn't even pay him to say this.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Thank
Nick,
you
go
so
ahead.
much.
I just wanted to underscore a couple things that Nicole said, and Dara, if you're still on, honey's okay, not for kids under 1 year of age, because of the potential for toxin in it, Botox really, and it doesn't help their skin. B, the other thing is that if you have grandchildren or children who are teenagers or preteens and they're really into veganism, you really need to take some responsibility in making sure that they have good sources of calcium, and especially for preteen girls and menstruating girls, sources of iron, and they need to pay attention. And a lot of teens don't pay attention to what they're eating. They just, as long as it's a vegetable or fruit, they think it's good, but they need a variety of things that supply the calcium and iron, and also a variety of grains, not just one source of grains like wheat or oat, but they need corn and wheat. And wanted to underscore what she said about fried French fries. That's it.
And it's so true, because there are a lot of teenagers now are promoting veganism, but they're going to the store and they're grabbing the whole box of vegan Oreos and thinking it's okay to eat that. And so you're absolutely right, making sure that they're still eating a very well-balanced diet, calcium, things like cacao, adding cacao to the chia pudding. There's calcium in here, there's magnesium. Broccoli, consuming broccoli, it has a bunch of calcium. And so it's still pointing that out to them, because a lot of times they're promoting veganism, not from the health standpoint, they're doing it from an animal standpoint, which is phenomenal as well. But there's, of course, the right and wrong way to go about it. And so, eating my vegan ice cream with my Oreos, wouldn't be a very well-balanced meal if I did it every day, but, once a week, of course, it's delicious.
Again, Nicole, thank you so very much. It was an amazing program. Enjoyed it very much.
Thank you.
And I will pretend I did not eat a whole bag of potato chips. No, I didn't.
Don't go eat it for lunch now, at least. Wait at least a day to let this soak in. Right.
I don't know if other people have questions or if you have time to take the questions, but
yeah, absolutely.
I'm just gonna leave it open for a little while.
Nicole, I'm sorry, I have a question. This is Kelly.
Okay.
I had cancer about 3 years ago, and I became vegan at that point because I had found, that keeping up with dairy and other items would actually increase my chances of getting cancer back, or, whatever. And I have to tell you, just it really hit home when you spoke about your mother and everything, because ever since I became vegan, I have felt better and healthier and more energized, since that time. And I mean, I'm 3 years cancer free now, but like I said, I have never felt better. So, and it's nice to see someone who actually, caters to that and allows us to be able to have healthy eating out there. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, 3 years. That's so incredible, honestly. And it sounds like you're doing it the right way, because a lot of times if people go vegan, they don't know where to start. They don't know how to start. They're tired. They're not getting the right nutrients. So I'm so glad that it's working for you. I mean, literally like tearing up right now hearing your story. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, and one of the things too that I did, which kind of goes to Nick's kind of concerns, is I've always taken extra supplements for calcium, B12, all of the things that iron, things that are concerns, just to ensure that I am getting enough, even if maybe I think I am, but I didn't have enough, broccoli for the calcium or whatever it is.
Right,
so,
right. Absolutely. That's that's a really good point too. There are a lot of times when people consume a mostly vegan or entirely vegan diet that they do need to rely on a couple different supplements. You're right. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Hey, Nicole, this is Roy Henderson again. Kind of keying off what we're talking about calcium. I know is being vegan, particularly like I'm thinking about elderly women, that are deficient in calcium and they get osteoporosis and then they fall down and have a broken hip. There's no bigger health killer than never recovering from a broken hip. I've known elderly people who've done that, and it's pretty much the end for them. And is it more difficult to maintain proper calcium levels if you're vegan only and elderly?
I think you just need to be aware of like the kind of milk that you're using, maybe because, for instance, my family and we consume this Oatly milk, which it has 350 milligrams, so it's 25% in 1 cup. And so you just kind of have to, one of those things, like read the nutrition facts and the labels, because not everything is created equally, because we're not relying on that slice of cheese. There are a lot of vegan cheeses now, and there's a vegan creamery in San Diego that I partner with that are really promoting their cheeses. They've come a long way. They don't really taste the same. I'll be the first to say it. That's why I like to make my own. They don't taste the same. And so I think a lot of people have the mentality like, oh, the cheese and the dairy entirely, when you're not consuming that, there's so much calcium in leafy greens. And so if you're consuming the spinach, the kale, I am a fan of kale. People think I'm crazy, just have to know how to prepare it. But if you're consuming the leafy greens, the right milks, the cacao, things of that nature, the coconut yogurt, you can absolutely find enough calcium.
Okay, thanks.
So what do you guys think? If you were here, which one would you go for? What we can close with? The vanilla cheesy with wild blueberries, extremely high in antioxidants. Your chocolatey goodness, again, just use cacao, so you're getting magnesium, potassium, iron, homemade granola. Or the almond butter strawberry oats. What do you guys think? Which one's better looking? Chocolate fans?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Most people are.
All of them.
Gotta sample them all, right? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate the opportunity.
Program.
Thank you. And anytime someone wants a sample,
thank you.
Just reach out. I'll give you guys my contact information, and I would love to provide samples. I usually do these in person, and everyone gets samples. So when you're back, maybe meeting all together, I can come in, and it would be my pleasure to bring samples for all of you.
Great.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you.